Oh, hey Media Art students. How's it going? Mr. Oliver here with another weekly video for you. So this week we are going to get into a lot of photography. Last week the goal was really just to learn how to take some pictures, learn how to get them into your Google Photos, and also learn some really basic things like the rule of thirds that you use for composition. So this week we're going to dive much deeper into composition. I'm going to show you lots of examples of pictures that I've taken over the years with my different composition techniques that a lot of photographers all use as kind of the basis to start creating their style in photography. So this week what you're going to do is you're going to take probably 10 or 15 pictures and you're going to put your favorite ones in your Google Photos album that represent the different styles that I'm going to be demonstrating. So since I'm in the library today, the studio's right over there, so no fancy teleporting. It's good because my back has been killing me and I just don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to head over to the studio and we're going to jump right into today's lesson. So let's go. All right, so here we are, about to hop into the slides, and let me tell you a little bit about this picture and some other things, because this week we're going to learn lots of photography skills. So let's get right into it. All right, so here we are in the studio. It is the week of October 19th through October 23rd. The time is flying here, and we are going to learn some more photography skills, just as I was talking about a moment before. So I'd like to take a moment to describe this photo that I took this summer. So you may have seen it before. I have this printed really large in my office at home. And this summer, I got into taking some pictures at night. And so all those lines that you see there are actually a bus that drove by. What's funny about that is I was taking pictures of cars driving by because I didn't want anything to block the sign. And then a bus accidentally drove by. And when the bus drove by, I looked at the picture and just magic happened. So I really love this shot. One of my favorites that I took all summer. And I will teach you how to take pictures like that too. So we're going to learn lots of cool stuff in this class, in this unit, and so we're digging into photography skills. This week's goals are we are going to learn and practice 8 different composition tips for photography. So composition means to compose, how you can arrange elements in your photos to make them look fantastic. We are going to then add our best images to our Google Photos album. You're going to learn how to use Google Photos to edit your photos. And you're going to make sure that your All About Me slide in the class presentation has the link to your album so people can start seeing your photos. So you don't need to add all 8. A goal would be to add 8 photos, though, to your album that demonstrates each of the 8 tips that I'm going to show you, and you can practice. And you can always change the pictures you have in your album, but this is the way for us to share the work that we do with each other. Normally in class, this is a huge part of it. I have photos printed around my room. Students are always out. We go out to our wetlands and take pictures to the front of our school, around the building. We take pictures of each other and share them. So this is our opportunity to take some pictures and share them with the class. So let's jump right into the lesson. So first off, we're going to be talking about parts of photographs all the time. And so I need to give you some definitions for this. So the first thing is a subject. So if you look at this photo that I took here, by the way, all these pictures are all pictures that I've taken, unless I tell you otherwise. So I love this picture, one of my favorites that I took, especially being a Happy Valley heron. And the heron is the subject or the main part of the photo. So you can see the heron was sitting on that log, and I knew that this was going to make a great shot for a variety of reasons. One is it had a very cool foreground. So foreground means the area in front. So the element of the frame where that's all in front of your subject. So in this case, it's the flowers and the blades of grass that are sticking out here, as well as the reflection of the heron in the water. And that all makes up the foreground. And then the background of this photo is more water, the area in the frame behind the subject, where the water and the vegetation, and there's another little log coming out into the water there. So that is our background. And then the frame, when I use that term, is talking about the entire image, right? So every corner of it, my head is blocking some of it. Let me slide out of the frame there. And you can see that those are all parts of the frame. I really want you to be aware of everything that you're including in your image and really make some good decisions about how you're going to do that. All right, our first tip that I want you to use is keep your camera level. The number one thing that I see that makes photos look amateur is when they're a little wonky, right? When the whole camera's askew, right? It's awkward when everything's weird. So we want to keep things nice and level in our photos. So when you're taking a picture, especially of something that has a horizon or objects that are supposed to be level, like a roof line of a building, right? Make sure that they are level, and you can use your grid lines to help you. So just by lining up along those grid lines, you can tell. Here, as I was taking a picture of the sunset, it's really important that this area becomes level. Now, you can edit a photo afterwards to readjust it, but when you tilt the photo, you have to punch in on it, and you're going to lose the details around the edges of your frame. So try the best you can in camera to get level shots. For this class, please make all your shots as level as you possibly can. Right? Afterwards, if you feel like getting creative and turning it for a little Dutch angle, you can. But for this class, while we're learning the basics, keep it level. Now let's talk about leading lines. Leading lines are a really cool thing to add to your photo. Let me slide my head away from that handsome young man there. That's my son, Aiden. And leading lines are lines in your photo that either lead to or lead away from your subjects. And they can really make a photo more interesting. So this was taken behind our school in the wetlands. If you've ever been to Happy Valley Park, it connects the school's grounds to the park. And there's a walkway there. And the walkway, I think, really adds to this photo. So I was really intentional about putting it next to him there. And it kind of feels like there's some traveling happening. It seems like there's almost motion in a picture that's completely still. So be on the lookout for leading lines. For now, just look for things like walkways or streams or roads, things like that you can incorporate into your photo and just see how that line works. One tip that this photo isn't actually doing, but some leading lines do, is that if they come right out of the corners of your frame. So there's a video that I'm going to have you guys watch by a man named Mark Bray, and he gives some really good examples of leading lines. So take a look at those. All right. The next thing we want to look at is something we talked about last week, right? Which is the rule of thirds. So here's a photo that I took at Rocky Butte Park, which is in Portland. And I was taking a picture of the sunrise. So that's right. That is the golden hour. Notice the sky looks pretty epic. And I used the rule of thirds to make this shot interesting. So imagine a 3x3 grid over this image and think about what elements are at the intersection points and along the lines. Are you all picturing the line? Let's see. Yes. So the lamppost is along a vertical line, right? Right where the glass of the lamppost is, we have an intersection point. And then our lower third line runs along the edge of the Cascade Mountains there. So those grid lines really helped me compose the shot and think about how can I make this kind of come to life. So the rule of thirds, go ahead and give it a shot. I had a comment from someone saying I was taking a picture of a horse and it was moving around and I couldn't keep him on the grid lines. It's okay. This isn't, even though it's called a rule, it's more of just a guideline. So just think about spacing out your frame so that you're allowing things to happen in places and you're not just centering your object. So the grid will keep it level. And also you can use this rule to start composing. Even if you don't really understand the rule of thirds yet, understand that you try and align objects either on these 4 dots or along one of the lines. And if you do that, you're going to start to see some really interesting things with your compositions. All right, now let's talk about framing. If you think about great photos that you might have at your house, they're probably framed hanging on the wall. Now, I think in a landscape photo especially, but it can work in all sorts of things, is you want to think about how can you actually frame the subject of your photo with objects inside your photo. So one way you can do it is by using foreground objects to frame your background. You could also do it the opposite. You could have your background objects frame your subject that's closer to the front. In this case, we've got pretty much 2 layers of things that are framing Mount Hood, right? So the leaves from the tree make a frame along the top, and then your eye is drawn between the 2 lampposts, looking across that wall out towards Mount Hood. Even though Mount Hood is out of focus, that's okay because it's all framed and you're kind of looking down that way. Your eye naturally drew right towards Mount Hood, right? You can say it didn't, but it did. because that's framing. That's the way, and you almost want a duck to look in more. So try and incorporate some framing into your pictures. You can even do this in a portrait if you have someone standing in a doorway or a doorway behind them. Look for any object that might make a natural frame, and it really makes your subject stand out. So give framing a shot. All right, here's another framing picture, but I'm going to use this for the example of filling the frame. So while this is a good example of framing, the bridge right on the outside frames the bridge that's inside, which frames the waterfall behind it. And but what I like about this picture a lot is that the edges of the frame are all filled with points of interest. I like the texture on the side of the concrete bridge. This is the 205 in Oregon City, and I'm looking underneath it towards the Oregon City Bridge, right? And so the outer part of the frame really helps draw your attention through it. So think about using the whole frame. Don't just think about this as being like, oh, I want a picture of the waterfall. I should take a picture of the waterfall. Sure, but sometimes it can be more impactful when you think about all the edges of your frame to make that work. So a key thing also about the edges of your frame is that make sure there's nothing distracting. Like if a boat was passing by here and half of it was sticking out, that would probably be distracting. If there was something even larger in this side, and even though my shot is about the waterfall in the middle, the edges help build up. They're the supporting cast of this picture. So think about filling your frame. When I take a lot of landscape pictures, sure, I'll line up to look at whatever my subject might be, but I spend my most time looking around the edges of my frame, making sure that those are the pieces that really look appealing to me and I think are going to be appealing in a photo. So that is framing, really, or that's filling the frame. Give it a shot. When you take some pictures, don't just think about the subject, think about the whole shot. Okay. Next one we've got is going to be anything but eye level. Right? Now, since I'm taking pictures of animals here, I'm at their eye level, but I'm not at my eye level, right? If you think about taking a picture of your cat, if you are 5 feet tall and your cat is about 12 inches off the ground, the cat's going to look really small. The background's going to just be the floor, and it's not going to be a fascinating picture, unlike if you lay down on the ground. I literally was laying in a pile of leaves to take this picture of Potato. I love this picture of Potato. I think I caught him just right. The colors are nice. All sorts of things are great about it. And being down at eye level is what makes this interesting. He looks like he could be a full-size tiger, right? He's a big cat. He's not that big, though. And by being down at his level, I'm getting a great shot. I also used to have a rooster that would come and visit my chickens every day. So this rooster was not mine. My chickens live over in this little building next to my house. There's a fence here. This is a field, and the chicken belongs to the neighbors. This rooster would, and he would come over and say good morning to my chickens every day. And I had fun taking pictures of this rooster. So what I did for this one is I just kind of laid down and waited for him and got a picture with him really filling the frame and being down at his eye level. So really, really try and get away from that picture taken 5 feet off the ground, however tall you are. Stop having the picture camera there. Get really low. Maybe try taking a picture from up really high looking down. Maybe try and take a picture on the ground looking up, but just experiment with different levels of where your camera can be, and you'll start to get some really fascinating pictures. All day long when we walk around, we experience the world from eye level. Start experiencing the world from different levels, and you'll get some really different creative looking pictures. Okay, our next one is looking for details. So a lot of times a picture can be really fascinating just by the little things. So patterns and textures can make everyday objects look fascinating. So I was at a car show, and this was kind of by accident. I only took one lens to take pictures, and it's a 100mm lens, so fairly long, and I couldn't fit entire cars in the shot. And I think that was actually a great decision that I made because it forced me to just look for details. And I got some of my favorite pictures. So I'm at this classic car show, and I was really just taking pictures of lights or the car insignias. And I got some really cool shots. I love all the little texture and the reflection that you see here. The lines play nicely in the picture, the way that light reflects off things, the color just everything about some really close-up pictures can be awesome. Another cool thing is this was, I was looking for chanterelle mushrooms. And so I found a bunch of chanterelle mushrooms with Mr. Lippert, a science teacher here at our school. This is a hobby that we have, to go out into the woods near his cabin and look for mushrooms. And we found a bunch of them. And then I wanted to figure out what would be a cool way to take a picture of them. So if you just take a picture of some mushrooms in your hand, it just looks like mushrooms in your hand. But I was able to set these on the back of his car and get the reflection off of the car, as well as really emphasize all the focus just on this front mushroom and the details of the gills of the mushroom and the shadows and the texture along it really, I think, make for a pretty interesting picture as opposed to just a picture of a mushroom. So it's amazing when you look at anything closely, you can see some really neat details. So good luck looking close at things and see what you can come up with. All right. Our next tip is taking vertical and horizontal composition. So this is my daughter, Madison. And last year, I decided to do a portrait session of the kids for the grandparents. So I wanted to take some pictures of trees with the kids, because in the fall, especially having a red-haired daughter, she looks awesome all the time, but she looks especially awesome when has the fall foliage with her. And so I was looking for a place where I could get these pictures, and this was actually taken right here at the school. So this is the front of our building, and this is the bus lane. So you can find some really fascinating pictures in the most common of places just by framing it nicely. And getting to what this picture specifically leans towards is, I took a vertical picture, and then we also took lots of horizontal compositions. I usually will take a picture both ways at any location that I am. It's just really good habit to get used to taking a picture this way and taking a picture this way. The reason why that is, so if I'm with my camera, right, this would be for a horizontal, right? This would be for a vertical. And you want to get in the habit of doing that. If you're just shooting with your phone, you're going to take a lot of your pictures this way, and then a lot of your pictures turning it and taking them. So do both compositions. Different ones work well for different shots. All right. So all of these tips that I just talked about are all in this video here. And so I want you to take a little bit of time and watch some of it. I recommend watching the entire video. In fact, this entire video series is great, especially if you're learning manual settings. If you're using a DSLR camera, he gives you all sorts of tips for how to kind of start making it work. He is a travel photographer, and he runs guided trips, and he teaches beginners how to take great pictures. So definitely worth checking out, but we'll be covering a lot of those same topics. So you don't have to watch everything, but take a look at it. Right? You can see he's got the grid lines on there because he's going to talk about the rule of thirds in his video. So I have this embedded in the slides. It's a great resource for you. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our photos and we're going to make some edits to them. So you're going to get your photos into Google Photos. Hopefully you were able to do this. I had some questions come up throughout the week. Use the Google Drive app. If you're using your phone and you are uploading to your computer, that is an easy way to move pictures from a cell phone to a computer or a Chromebook. Once they're on your Chromebook, you can save them into your files. And from your files, you can upload them into Google Photos. So experiment with how you can get pictures in. That's why last week I just wanted you to try and get a picture in. This week, you're going to try and get all 8 different examples in. I'm not going to be grading that you have all 8, but just put some awesome pictures that you take in here. And then we're going to try making some edits. So once they're in our gallery, actually, even if they're in your photos, you can make the edits. But either way, you're going to click on this little button with the sliders here in order to make some edits happen. All right, so you're going to make some basic adjustments. When you click on that middle slider again, because it has an option to, this button here is going to have like a bunch of presets. I want you to focus on the slider for right now, noticing that you're going to be able to change light, color, and pop. And instead of just sliding these around, you can do that. But as you slide them, the more specific things are going to happen. So if you click this little triangle, you're going to be able to edit the light, the exposure, the contrast, the highlights, the shadows, the whites, the blacks, and add a vignette. Sorry, I changed slides. And this is the building blocks of editing a photo. So for this week, I just want you to try doing a little bit of editing to your photos. Try and not make them look edited. That's really the trick with editing. We'll get into that next slide in just a second. But just try making minor adjustments and see how it changes to look great. And we'll get into some specifics. I will demo. I'll add a demo and you'll be able to take a look at that also. But I just want to go over this for right now. And then here is what I always tell students. Editing is like adding hot sauce, right? So here we have two of the exact same picture. And this first one is just way too spicy. I just started dragging sliders all over the place. And before you knew it, it looks like an Andy Warhol modern pop art, which might look great for some sort of artistic photo, some kind of interesting print. But as you're learning the basics of photography, you want to learn how you can make subtle edits to really improve your photo. So this one I think is much more subtle, right? The hot sauce has enhanced my photo, but it hasn't made it taste like nothing but hot sauce. So a little bit of editing goes a long way. So take a look at this demo and see what you think. I'll just kind of go through it, probably just have some music playing with it and time lapse. You can see the different effects to it. I don't have to talk my way through the entire edit. So that's it for the week. So you are going to fill out the survey. Google Photos, hold on. Wait a minute. We haven't done our secret word yet. All right. Are you ready for your secret word? The secret word is... Oh, hey guys. Hope you're enjoying the video. It's time for your secret word. In fact, I was just reading about this here. We have the aardvark, weighing up to 145 pounds. The African aardvark is the heaviest mammal that lives entirely on insects. Wow, 145 pounds and all it eats is bugs? That's a great secret word. The secret word is aardvark. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. But remember, your secret word is aardvark. Aardvark. Aardvark is the secret word. Did you know that aardvark is sometimes the first word in the dictionary because it is spelled A-A-R-D-V-A-R-K. Aardvark. Right? Big long nose, eats ants. All right. At any rate, there's your secret word. It's aardvark. I'm not going to say it again. Make sure you put aardvark. I just said it. Aardvark, aardvark, aardvark. Put aardvark on your form. Okay, so I have a video here also. This is a video that I made in the springtime, all about editing with Google Images, and I talk through the whole thing. At the beginning of the video, it's me talking specifically about things that we did in the spring, so you just disregard all those specifics. But then I get into some demos with a screen recording from taking pictures from a phone, getting them over to my Google Drive, and then into Google Photos. And then once they're in Google Photos, you can see that I'm doing some editings to that. So this video may be very helpful to you. Take some time with it as you need it. So once again, this is in the slides. It's also on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet to Heron Television, you may want to do that because every weekly video goes there, as well as episodes of HTV and all the different tutorial videos that I make that might help you with anything you're doing. But you can also find lots of great tutorials online. So the power of YouTube to find all sorts of things. So, okay. Let's move on to our final thing. So you've seen this slide a number of times, right? We had our word art of our name. We had our video here that we made introducing our slide and our drawing. We have a drawing on here, and then now we should have my gallery. A number of students, when you filled out the survey last week, when I clicked on your link, it took me straight to Google Photos, which is not the link we want. We want to take the link to our gallery. So this is my gallery with all my pictures in it. And in order to share this, you have to come to this little button. You then have to hit copy. It will then be there and you press the word copy. and then you're going to go to your slide, right? So this would be my slide. I would have highlighted this. I would have added the link, and that's how it gets connected. All right, I think that's it for the week. We have lots to work on, so go out and take some awesome pictures. All right, so that's it. I really want you guys to have a lot of fun taking pictures this week. So remember, your assignment's not due until the end of the week, and actually you're not handing anything in other than filling out that survey. On the survey, you're going to put in the secret word, and then you're going to answer a couple questions about your experiences with taking pictures and getting them into Google Photos and doing some editing. So feel free to wait until Friday or so to do that. Also, make sure you're taking your pictures in your best possible light. So photography isn't the type of thing where at any time in the day you can always get that great shot, especially if you're relying on taking pictures outdoors. So wait for a good sunset this week if we've got one. Maybe try and get up really early just as the sun's coming up. Maybe you'll be somewhere with a great view. Whatever it is, try and take some really cool pictures, because I think as you take pictures that you're going to be really proud of and applying your composition to, you're going to see such an improvement in the kind of shots you take. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by my office hours, email me anytime, and we're going to have some fun taking pictures. In fact, I'm going to go get back to it right now, so I'll see you in the next video. And remember, never stop creating. All right, I'm out of here. See ya.